is Friday night. You know what that means. Bobbers TV is here for the Australian Nascar eSeries truck NASCAR racing powered by Beat the Dark. Mental health matters. Now, with that in mind, the Australian NASCAR League is thrilled to announce that the trucks in the upcoming 2024 Season 1 will be powered by the fantastic team at Beat the Dark. Now, the inception of Beat the Dark stems from a profound awareness of people grappling with uncertainty, anxiety, and depression. Now, while originally formed for the iRacing platform, Beat the Dark is a message applicable to all walks of life. Beyond its existence as an iRacing team, the Beat the Dark logo stands independently. We believe in the power of iRacing and the camaraderie it fosters to provide solace during challenging times. iRacing and online game services as a platform that, iRacing and online gaming serve as platforms that unite individuals from diverse backgrounds and age groups. The distinctive colours of the logo symbolise both genders, and the striking face represents the modern-day crusader advocating for social change. Now, we hope that by promoting this awareness, individuals can embrace their true self and initiate honest conversations. If our efforts can assist even one person struggling, consider it a worthwhile endeavour. Now, let's extend a warm welcome to Beat the Dark as they join our Friday night truck series. What a great cause. All right, we've still got about 3 minutes left in practice. Basically, once practice wraps up, the boys will go to qualifying, and then we will begin our 100-lap debut here at Daytona International Speedway at Daytona Beach. Now, looking at the times, it looks like quick time of 47 to 6-7. For some reason, we're only getting surnames, so that is Malone. I'm not sure what's happened with my software there. I'll have to check that out. But 47.267. Now in second place, Mackenzie, 47.267 as well. Our timing software measures to, I believe, the 4th decimal, but we only see the times to the 3rd decimal. So Malone clearly the quicker of the 47.267s. But then in third, we've got Barber with 47.268. We've got the 42 car. Oh, let's Oquijo. I really hope I've got that one right. 47.608, and then our top 5 car is 47.635. That's Raymond. Now that's bugging me. So let me just quickly fix that while you watch the boys on the screen doing their laps, and we'll get that all fixed up, that I can identify these guys a bit better. I believe I know what might be the issue. Okay. No, it's not that. I thought maybe that one of the overlays I was using was only reading the surnames, but it looks like I am only getting the surnames, so I apologize there. See if I can get something else up that might help. Let's see. Where are we on the screen? We're not on any cars on the race. Bob, come on. Sorry about that. To say that I'm nervous would be an understatement, but on our screens there we have the 52 of King. He's got Withy and Meddings behind him. That's going to bug me. Why is it only giving me surnames? Yeah, it's not the short name version. Alright, so I'm so sorry. Wow, great debut here. I just can't seem to get their first names on my screen here. I don't know if it's the way the league's set up or if it's something I've done, but looks like practice has concluded. We're going to get to the qualifying run here. The first car to get out on our screens is the 950 of Holland. That's bugging me that I don't have full names and I can't understand why. Just going to try something else real quick. I'm so sorry. I'm glad this is sort of in qualifying at this point because when it gets to the racing, I really want to know who I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to have to learn them the old-fashioned way. So there's the 52. Nope, we've switched to the 1. No, that is the 52. That is the 52. It says King on the leaderboard. The 52 of Henry. Henry King. Out there running his qualifying laps. No times have been set as of yet, but they will start to come in. I think the average lap will be around the high 51s. Yeah, let's have a look. I remember seeing something that did mention what those times would be. But yeah, no, that's okay. We won't worry about that too much as we watch them here. We're still running along with Henry King. Apparently my camera crew finding him the most exciting driver in qualifyings at this stage. We'll jump around and we'll have a look at some of the other cars. Here's the 44 of Greg Sholton. And we've got, that's the 02. The 02 of Darren McKenzie. Who else we got out here? That is the 53? 58, sorry, Matt. That is Matt Payton. So Matt Payton actually has quick time, so it's sort of good that we jumped on him when he did. 51.464. The second place car is the 11. Now the 11 driver is Jason Holdsworth. Then in third is the 464 of Ayrton Smith. Then we've got in fourth Darren McKenzie. I've got a lot of names to remember here. Let's have a look. And then Darren. Wasn't Darren, Bob. It was Ayrton Smith. Looks like he has dropped back a few spots as some of those extra times come in. Payton with a 51.464 is still quick time. Meddings 51.482. 51.488 for the third placed Smith. The 10 car of Douglas, he's got 51.497 and has qualified fourth. Then Patterson 51.502 round out the top 5. Then it's Holdsworth, McKenzie, Scott, Bruins, Jackson, Vickers, Clark, King, Williams, Malone, Withy, Sholton, Cisaluna, Holland, Stevens, and Thompson. As we get to the grid, when we do the grid, I'll definitely endeavour to grab some more names and yeah, after a while, once I've called them a few times, I find it's usually a race or two that I recognise the numbers and the names just come automatically. All right, looking around, the crowd is packed in here tonight. Not really wanting to let me grab a car down on the track. Let's grab the 167. That, of course, is Nathan Button. Nope. Apparently it did. There he is. Gosh, you'd think this was my first time doing this, but he's heading on into the pits. Let's check out the 28 car. He's still out there. That is Alex Stelbovics. Stelbovics. Oh, these names. American names apparently are a lot more easier to pronounce. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting endeavor. All right, for those of you tuning in and not sure what is going on, this is the Australian NASCAR eSeries. their Friday night trucks round of racing. We're at Daytona Beach, Daytona International Speedway. The Australian Truck Series is powered by Beat the Dark. And it looks like we're going to get ready to go to the lineup. We're going to get this 100-lap race underway. See if we can't find the cars. Nope. Where's my start-finish line? There we go. All right, as those cars start to appear on the grid, we know that the 22 and the 80 will start on the front row. The 22 is Ron A. Thompson. The 80 is Devon Stove. Now, it doesn't look like that second row is there, but the second row will be the 167. That, of course, is Nathan Button. And then alongside him will be the 57 car of Daniel Stevens. Behind them on the third row. My God, I'm struggling. On the third row will be the 58 and the 6. The 58 is Matt Payton, and the 6 belongs to Reburn Phelps. Then on the fourth row, it will be Smith and Malone, the 464 and the 1. The 464 is Ayrton Smith. The 1, of course, not listed. So that is Malone. He'll be known as Malone. This is a massive grid. Still got 20 seconds. All right, let's just go by the names, and we'll try and call it out as they race. So yeah, so fourth row, Smith and Malone. Fifth row will be Hill and Douglas. Patterson and Holdsworth will be on that sixth row. Seventh row is going to be McKenzie and Scott. Bruns and Jackson will be on the eighth row. Barber and Vickers on that ninth row. 10th row, Stilbovics, and Kelly on the 11th row. Clark and King. 12th row, Jay Williams and Withy. Shilton and Sisluna. Oh gosh, on the 13th row. Let's see, where are we? 13th row was 26, 27th and 28th, 14th row, Holland and Phelps, Hobbs and Raymond on that 15th row, 16th row, Yurkujo. Oh my gosh, if anyone can see that car that is in 31st place on the board, the yellow 42 there, starts in UR, please feel free to pop in chat how you think that's pronounced. Then we have McClintock alongside him, Curran and Seidel to round out the final field. All right, I think we just about got there. We're about to start our first lap. The guy's going down the backstretch. I'll come into 3 and 4. We'll get this one underway. Now, 100 lap race. They have enough fuel to maybe get a third, just under a third of the way. There is 2 mandatory pit stops now. 100 laps at Talladega. One of those pit stops would almost certainly be tyres. Tyre wear will be a factor in this race, 100 laps. But fuel, obviously getting that fuel in those 2 stops is going to be important. You're not going to get the full way on your tank. So do you stop under green conditions? Do you take advantage of any particularly yellows that might come out and then potentially get in and out? Let's wait and see. All right, my camera software is having a bit of a freak out at the moment. Looks like we're back and we are off and racing. Thompson, Stove, Stevens, Button, Peyton, Meddings, Smith, Malone, Hill, Douglas. That line just goes deep. Watch for the cars to sort of get to top speed as they come out of the second corner, get to that backstretch and hit 4th gear. That's when they're really going to want to sort of stay in line and keep that line as long and as straight as possible. That will enable draft and will give them some good speed. You can see there the outside line. Let's just try and get to a better angle there. The outside line just a little bit further ahead they were, but it looks like that 80 car of Stove has dropped himself down into first place. Stevens and Meddens, though, they're on that high line, and they're exhibiting exactly what I was talking about, where the lines that cooperate the best are going to be the faster of the two lines. Now, there are two pet peeves that I have spoken about in some of these broadcasts before, and that is if you push a car to an advantageous spot, if you get him up to the front, then sorry, if he gets you up to the front, then give him room. Let that second place guy come in behind you. You'll often see, and we've seen it already. And look, there's no disrespect to it. It's how you race. I just don't like to partner with people that do that because you know they're not going to stick around. But you'll see guys will like the 80. He rode the outside line with a more secure straight line of draft and was able to drop down to the inside line because he believed he was going to take the lead. But the 6 car Meddings did the same thing, and now he's back in second. We're on our third of 100 laps. This is going to be a bit of a mammoth effort. The boys, they're pretty much just going to race out, I think, the first pit stop casually as possible, as carefree as possible, as not carefree, as careful as possible. And it won't be till after, say, the 50, 75th lap that we'll truly start to see people trying to solidify those positions. We're back here with the yellow 012. That is Hill. He's back there in 12th spot. He's got Vickers and Patterson behind him. Jackson and Smith up there in front, plus about 10 other cars. This is some great racing so far. You may not feel it. You may be looking at this and going, well, what? They're just going to follow each other in circles. It is a game of chess. Depending on the setup level of setups these guys are racing with, some of these guys could be racing with race tape set so that they can't sustain a run right up behind another car. So they've got to maintain a different sort of high speed rather than that drafting speed. That drafting speed, that air can overheat their engine and cause them trouble. So yeah, look for a bit of strategy at play for the first half of this race at the very least. But after that, say 30, 40 minutes of racing mark, which is absolutely insane. Then yeah, it's going to get interesting. All right, seem to be just having a bit of a hiccup with the camera leaderboard track map software, so I apologize if that's playing up on the screen. We'll get to I'm just sorting that as we speak. There we go. That looks like it is better. You can see there, you get a great example of that. Just it's line racing. You can try and sort of weave your way up. It's not good to go 3 wide, but if you can find little gaps and sort of almost hopscotch your way up through the field, then certainly it can help. But none of these guys, whether they're in first or 35th, would be worried right now. It's just a matter of racing around and getting to that first pit stop, that first pit window. Now, the pit window, I believe, is around lap 32 to lap 36. So basically, the most advantageous portion for them to lap would be lap 32. By lap 36, they will most certainly have to lap. So if there's no caution sort of within that time, that's when green flag pitting will be done. Now, for those that aren't sure about green flag pitting, that just basically means you leave the track, go through the pit, the race keeps going on, and you do have speed limits and time limits in the pits, so you will fall back down the field a little bit by being forced to go to the pits under green, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. But Douglas, he's doing great. Douglas, Meddings, Stove, Thompson, Holdsworth, Malone, Jackson, Button, and Patton. That is the top 10. And we've got Smith, Stelbovics, King, Vickers, Scott, Hill, Cisluna, Hill, Patterson, Holland, and Seidel. That is the top 20. There's a lot of cars to call in this race, so I'm just going to sort of work with what we've got. right, let's jump back up to the lead, and we can see there's started to be a bit of a group. So what happens is if some of the lines don't cooperate, if there's a bit of a gap, um, and it's not sort of five or four or five cars along that line, if a group forms up, they can start to run away with a bit of a lead on the main pack, and that's what we're seeing here with the 10, the 6, and the 80. That's Douglas, Meddings, and Stove. They do have Holdsworth. He's jumped on the back. He saw that happening. Stevens would have liked to have dropped down in the 57 machine, but he's going to allow Thompson pass first. If we go back, I think if we go back to, say, Holdsworth, that might give us a little bit of a better view on proceedings here. But you can see that line is now 6 deep. They saw it. They were like, okay, we're going to jump onto this. And the longer and more stable and close that line gets, and you can sort of see that the outside line started to cooperate a little bit. So they're coming up on third, fourth, and fifth, and that's because third, fourth, and fifth do have a bit of a gap between them. They're not really bump drafting or really close racing drafting. The 10 looks like he's had some engine issues. He's sort of deciding to fall back through the field. Probably would have been better to go below the yellow for that, but he's elected to fall back and is now back in about ninth spot. And looks like he's still continuing to fall back, stuck back there 3 wide. This is where it can be a little bit hairy. Sometimes you sort of just got to go, hey, all right, I'll hang back a bit and just make a bit of space, make a little bit of room, let them in. Sometimes people do stupid things and you're like, well, I'm not letting you in because, that though looked like he was either having some concerns and needed to drop back or just wasn't happy and didn't think he was contributing up there and wanted to get out of it. And props to him, props to Malone for doing that. Hey Sam, no worries, man. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. So Bob with TV. I'm normally just a bit about me while we're at lap 10 of 100. I traditionally started this with iRacing with dirt racing, and the service was called Mud Mules TV. And then a friend of mine threw some dirt racing, reached out to me and asked me if I would broadcast his American NASCAR league, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then, as luck would have it, the guys here at the Australian NASCAR eSeries reached out to me at the same day and said, hey, you interested in doing some Australian stuff? And as an Australian, yes, I would love to broadcast some Australian stuff. So, quick little rename. We're now Bobbeth TV. Going through some logo and brand changes over the next week just to bring it all in line. As we see the 231 and the 80 pushing the 2 cars up the front. That's the 6 of Meddings and the 57 of Stevens there, taking their turns bump drafting there, and it looks like the 80 and the 6 have the slightly better run. But yeah, so and then of course with these guys with the NASCAR series coming along, the trucks Friday nights, it allowed me to take that leap of faith and go, all right, well let's bring in YouTube and let's bring in Twitch. So not only do we broadcast to our normal Facebook page, Bob with TV, but also to our Twitch and YouTube channels of the same name. So yeah, welcome Sam via YouTube. You're my first official YouTube chatter, so that's awesome. All right, lap 12. We're about a third of the way in before the first pit stop. I kind of hope it is under green because then it's going to be interesting to see how many of the boys are racing as a team or as mates and on the radio to each other to sort of let them know when they intend to pull in. Because if you go in with people and come out with people, you've got a draft partner. You can use that to get back up to speed. If you come out by yourself, you don't have that draft, you don't have that extra air, and it's about a 10 km an hour speed difference lap wise. And if you're doing 10 kilometers less than someone, you're going to fall well off the well into the night. What's this pom down under? Well, that wasn't the ideal start for me. Went to shift into third, stuck in first. Boom, went that engine. Oh, mate. Look, as a NASCAR truck driver, I can certainly say I have done that more than I would care to admit. And I've got a Logitech G920, and I've given that shifter a fair work, and so it does. It is quite easy to miss shift on that thing. Oh my gosh. Or just, just inadvertently slap it from third into first for whatever reason. But yeah, or forget to take off in first, in third or second. But hopefully, mate, you're back out there on the field. Get into the pits, get it all fixed up, and hopefully you can make up some ground with that little bit of extra fuel that you might be carrying. Oh, look out! We've got a crash. The 44. He was down at low off the track. It looked like he was coming up onto the track from the pit exit, and oh, I went previous lap. Oh, that's all right. Let's have a look at that again. Right, here he is coming out of pit lane. Exited pit lane. He's up on the back stretch. And here come the leaders. Now, the ideal move would have been possibly to drop down the yellow line. He's definitely carrying a lot more speed than some of those guys. And you can see that ricochet back through the field as we have our first caution come out on lap 15. A little bit early on the pit window, but it might be worth getting some fuel now because that will allow you to go a little bit longer than lap 32 and 36, build up a bit of a lead when some of those guys do go in. But for some of those guys, oh no, I've got the hiccups, whoops. Repairs must be a certain. See the 950, he's, oh, he's not. I thought the 950 was in the pits, but there he, oh, sorry, he is going into the pits as we speak. Can't see anyone going in just yet, but they might still have their first, what the heck? There we go. We might have our first pit stop. So for those not familiar with yellow flags in the NASCAR series, there's 4 laps associated with a NASCAR caution. So when the yellow comes out due to a crash or a stoppage, then that first complete lap after that is the first lap. That's to get everything cleared up and back to normal. Second lap is pit availability. Do you want to go in the pits? Do you need to go in to get repairs? Things like that. Third lap is 2 to go. That's when you need to be getting out of the pits. And then 1 to go is when you line up 2 wide. So first and second on the front row, third and fourth on the second row, and so forth. And then we get this race back underway. The pace car leaves the track on the 4th lap. The boys get to the restart zone, and away they go. All right, looks like we've got a few pit stop visitors as we speak. Doesn't look like many, if any, stayed out. That looks to me like every single car has elected to get into the pits there. There's our first car exiting out back onto the track, the 17, the 111, the 13, the 231, the 57, 52. That is Bruns, Ferris, Scott, Jackson, Stevens, and King. Here comes some more boys. Some of the guys up the back able to obviously take less fuel, maybe not take tyres, and get in and out before the cars that can get up to the front that are traditionally, you're normally gridded in the pits based on your starting position in the race. So pole position in the first pit slot, second, third, fourth, all the way back. So that can also help get a few slots or penalise you if you're further up the grid and you do have to go to the pits. So you've got to race or drive all the way up to the front end without exceeding the pit speed limit. I think it's the 231. Well, that is up the front there. So we'll just jump up to him as the cars all sort of start to group back up together. As I say, the second lap will be 2 to go. Will be once that'll be pretty much your last call to get out of the pits, get back up onto the grid, and then by the time they do a full lap, go back to the start finish line for 1 to green. Which looks like what they're starting to do now is they'll start to grid up 2 by 2, as I mentioned. All right, still single file, but just a little bit to go. There's still a couple of cars still in the pits. Be curious of the 34, 35 cars that have started this race. This is our first caution, 15th lap it came out on. I'm curious to see how many were casualties, how many obviously incurred enough damage that they aren't able to get back out yet, or we'll end up a few laps down, so we'll have to wait and see there. All right, as you can see on the track map and leaderboard, 1 to green. They're going to line up at 2 wide. Behind the pace car, it will be Jackson and Stevens, King and Douglas on the second row, third row. Holdsworth and Stelbovics, McKenzie and Withy on that fourth row, fifth row. Smith and Vickers, Patterson and Williams on the sixth row, seventh row will be Preston and Clark, Curran and Malone on that eighth row, ninth row McClintock and Payton, Wilson and Hill on that 10th row, 11th row Hobson, Stove, Scott and Meddings on that 12th row, 13th row Phelps and Yurkuji. I really struggle with that one. 14th row Raymond and Ferris, Button and Seidel on that 15th row, 16th row Sis Luna and Barber, and then we've got Thompson and Bruns on that final and 17th row. All right, we can see the 22 on the track map. That's Thompson. Looks like the 950 still in the pits. That is Malone. We are about ready to crank it up and get our second start of this race. There's the start finish line on your screen. 34 trucks are about to come whizzing by as they get the green flag to restart this race. Look at them go. That line just goes on forever. Looks like Stevens and Jackson off to a good start. Douglas, King, Holdsworth, McKenzie as well. There's 2 very good, distinct lines up the front there. I wish the track map showed the 2 lines, but you can see there the outside line just appears to have that advantage as we hit the back stretch. This is lap 19 of 100. We're about to get to the first fifth of this feature race, the debut of the Australian Nascar eSeries. It is a Friday night trucks. They're, of course, powered by Beat the Dark. Thank them for coming on board. Mental health matters. All right, that is 1 full lap, and these boys are still basically as they started. Just sort of, as I say, it's much like the start of the actual race. Oh, I spoke too soon. We might have had a crash. I saw someone up in the wall. Yellow hasn't come out. Looks like they might have recovered. Let's see. I believe it was the 231 Jackson. Let's have a look and see if it was his car. I think it was, but he might have got it recovered and got it back up to where it needed to be in time. So I know it's got him as in 5th right now, so that wasn't him. I missed the guy who fell down the field. All right, riding along with Patterson. He's the pink 97 there. He's got Preston, Wilson, Stove and Clark back there behind him. Withy, Stelbovic, Smith, King, Vickers in front of him, as well as the top 5 of Jackson, McKenzie, Holdsworth, Douglas and Stevens. Let's just get up to the lead. I can see that relative playing silly buggers, so I'm just going to jump up there and have a quick look, because I think, yeah, we've got a sort of a 2 car and a 3 car. 3 car on the inside line, 2 car on the outside line. Yes, there are cars back there behind them, but not really close enough to affect the draft or give any push. So that is why the inside line is racing a little bit faster than the outside line. So look for that to potentially change if the 10 and the 57 car can get that 231 back up Jackson. Then That will definitely give them the strict advantage. The outside line of Holdsworth Mackenzie. They want Vickers to get on board with this party, as well as the 484 of Smith, the yellow truck we see there in, I think he's 7th place. All right, we'll just watch up the front a little bit longer, then we'll jump back and have a look at what's happening with the 20-odd cars behind them. But we're here at Daytona Beach, Daytona International Speedway. The opening round of the Friday night trucks powered by Beat the Dark. It's the Australian Nascar eSeries. This thing, that is a full field. This is, I've actually raced in this division. It's one of the toughest Aussie leagues out there, possibly one of the best. Sure, if you ask the guys, they would definitely agree. But you can decide by watching the racing every Friday night here on Bobith TV. Around 8 at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. We'll go live. 19 rounds of truck action. So we've got a couple of super speedways to start us off. Daytona International Speedway is definitely a good starting round one track, but there are some shorter tracks that are just very interesting, I will say, as a NASCAR driver myself. So looking forward to how the boys handle those and how they handle the shorter tracks, lack of real estate, things like that. All right, Stevens, Holdsworth, and Douglas. That is still the 1, 2, 3. Mackenzie and Jackson have got the 4 and 5. Smith moved himself up from 8th to 6th. Back there in 7th, King in 8th, Wilson in 9th, Vickers 10th, Stove. As they come around, they cross that stuff. What's going on with the track map? That's being a bit weird. It might be something I need to change. I'll be honest with you, Bob's TV, my Muse TV, we're not quite used to this level of fields. We've had 20, 25 car dirt races and stuff, but this is 34 NASCAR trucks on a super speedway, so it's a whole different deal. All right, they're coming up on a car that is lap traffic. They definitely get past him a lot better than the last one that was there, so they will be thankful for that. Generally, the rule is in NASCAR racing that if you're a lap down or a slower car and the leaders are coming up on you, you to hold your line, hold exactly where you are, hold your speed, and the rest of the guys will just make their way around you. And by you holding that speed, holding that line, you're not unpredictable. They're able to see where you are and work with that and keep the race going. So that's what happened there. That was a perfect way of getting past lap traffic, and we get to keep on going. We're about a quarter of the way into the race, lap 26, coming into that pit window territory, but everyone sort of went in a little bit early, so they may get themselves to, say, the 40 or 42 lap mark now. But the 57 of Stevens and the 10 of Douglas definitely look like they've formed a partnership, because no matter what's happened to the inside and outside lines, those two have just kept it going. The 10 of Douglas, he's kept that nose, as you can see right now. He's kept that nose just washing on at the back of that bumper. If it's not an air bubble, it'll get close enough to just push him a little bit and keep that run happening. If the 2-3-1 back there in 4th place, though, Jackson was able to get up and just get his nose. You don't push a pusher, but if he can get up a little bit closer, he can definitely ride that draft a lot better. The boys in front will have a little bit cleaner air to play with, and you'll see them push away from that outside line's lead. However, the outside line starting to work its way out. It's starting to perform much like I suggested. The inside line, the 464 being a bit more of a team player, and you can see that speed difference where, let's see, let's hope for that car just holds up on the wall there and gets past JJ Martinez. Good morning, brother. Hey, and Frosty. Hey, Frosty, appreciate it. Would have already wrecked. Yeah, it's not dirt super late models, brother. You can wait till Sunday night, or Monday morning for me in Australia. That's because I'm broadcasting Australian now, so I can use my times. All right, looks like we've got a stalemate here at lap 28, coming out of 4 into the dogleg start finish line, lap 29. Still 70 odd laps to go. And at least one, maybe two more pit stops before we get to the end and know who our podium finishers are. Right now, though, it's Holdsworth, Mackenzie, Stevens, Douglas, Smith, and Wilson. They're the main ones really battling for it up the front. Not to say that any of the other guys, we've got Wilson, King, Stove, Scott, still Bovics out there, Seidel, Vickers, Patton. They could be just holding off. Like I said at the head of the broadcast, with these sorts of races, 100 lap races, it really doesn't matter until lap 75, like that last 25, last 15, so 75 to 85 laps remaining completed, because that's when some of the cars that have maybe not been able to go to the distance have gone out. The fuel, the tire wear, lap times, everyone's sort of fallen where they've landed, and driving racing really comes into it. So it won't be a lot of this. It won't be a lot of just racing line and pushing and racing. You'll see slingshots. You'll see what side drafting. You'll see a few other interesting maneuvers, and it will be very, very entertaining. We've just got to get there, 30 of 100. So just under a third of the way there. Oh, another lapped car. You can see lap cars. That can happen if you get injured or damaged and you don't want to go quite into the pits just yet. Some repairs can take anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. You stay out, you test the car, you see if you're quicker out there racing than you are just sitting in the pits. Sometimes it works. I think with a 100 lap race, and it's 37 participants, Bob. With a 100 lap race, if you're in the first 50, you have time to get into the pits. You can race it back with the final 50. You can pick them off with cautions and lucky dogs. You can pick them off with green flag pit stops, things like that. So, yeah, look for a lot of different strategies to be played out here tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, we are on lap 32, coming through 1 and 2, hitting the backstretch very soon. There's a couple of cars up ahead, the 22 and the 96. So they may become lap traffic in a few laps time. But until now, for now, the boys just worrying about the inside and outside lines respectively, depending on where they lie. Oh, caution has come out. Can't quite see where it might have happened. Let's grab the 69 car. And we'll just go back a bit. I feel like that might have been it. The track map's a bit confuddled, a bit confused, a bit big. Alright, so there's the 69 there, comes up in front of the car on his outside line. Gets a little bit of wall contact. That car that was behind him travels past. He'll possibly drop down here below yellow. No, he's going to start a bit higher. Let the other guys come past. Doesn't look like that was what brought the caution out though. We'll just keep this playing out. Might have been a safety caution just because he was falling back down the field, but nonetheless, caution has been called. Second caution has come out at the 33rd lap mark. Could not have come out at a more opportune time. As we mentioned, the pit window, 32 to 36 laps of racing fuel, depending on how hard you give it, how much draft you use, etc. And we're right there in the middle of that box right now, lap 33. So the boys will 100% be going, thank God. I can go in and completely refuel my tank. Anything under 30 laps, I don't think you necessarily need to use your tyres, but I'm not sure how many sets they get. So if they only get the 2 sets, which is usually commonplace, then now is where you would possibly be looking at swapping your first set out, taking to you effectively have 3 sets of tyres. You've got the tyres you start with, the tyres you could possibly grab now, and then the tyres you have left for those last, say, 30 odd laps of the race. And having a set of tyres, having a set of dancing shoes at the end of the dance, or at the last part of the dance, for that last slow dance, will be the most important strategy of all. All right, looks like 1 car stayed out, or might have got in and out of the pits quick enough. I believe it was the 7 of Vickers. Yeah, there he is there. He's got Ferris behind him and Douglas. Then Stevens, Holdsworth, McKenzie, Jackson, Smith, King, Scott, Wilson, Meddings, and still Bovics. Still a number of cars in the pits, just going through the process of getting some repair done, possibly. When it comes to repair, there's 2 types of repair required. So there's required repairs and then optional repairs. Optional repairs are generally cosmetic or panels that can be removed or straightened or hammered. So you don't always have to stay in for optionals, but optional repairs can, or optional damage can affect your race speed. All right, we got the top 10 out when we got up to Vickers there on the pit lane. We'll be able to get the rest of them as they cross the start-finish line. There's still just a few more to flood out, but we will get to 2 to green very soon. Get this race back underway. See them starting to line up. Looks like there might be a few wave rounds, maybe a lucky dog or a reordering due to the iRacing gridding system. But we are 1 to green, and the boys are going to line up 2 wide. Vickers and Douglas will be on the front row. Holdsworth and Stevens on that 2nd row there. Then on the 3rd row will be McKenzie and Jackson. Smith and King on that 4th row. Actually, let's go a higher cam. We can catch a lot more cars that way. Then we've got Meddings and Stelbovics on that 6th row. 7th row is going to be Malone and Padden, Button and Curry on that 7th row. 8th row, wow, my memory is terrible. Withy and Hobbs. 9th row, Stove. And let's wait for my information to update. Oh, Stove and Curran. Then it's Hobbs and McClintock on the 10th row. 11th row is going to be Clark and Patterson. Let me just get the camera back down to the track there. Then we've got Bruins and Raymond. Seidel and Urkeho, I believe, is the correct pronunciation of that on the 13th row. Thank you. 14th row, Barber and Phelps, Preston and Hill on that 15th row. 16th row, Thompson and Ferris, Cisaluna and Williams on that 16th row. I will need my software to just continue flashing through the fields. There we go. Holland, Sholton and Kelly have all unfortunately retired. So just the 34 cars remain on the field. And this is what I'm talking about. Getting to that sort of last 75, 85 laps and having, you don't like it, but look, it's going to happen. Just people are going to have racing incidents. Yeah, seeing how that field will get sort of weirded out by that. And then, it comes down to who took tyres when, how much fuel, and things like that. But we are off and racing. Lap 36 is underway. As I said, 34 cars still remain in the Australian Nascar eSeries Friday night trucks powered by Beat the Dark. As they race down at the backstretch. I feel for these guys. There was a bit of contact there between the 7 and I think the 231. Just go back and we'll just watch how that started. But once again, the thing with NASCARs and high-speed racing, it is very hard to avoid contact if someone spins out. But it looks like... Okay. Pause. We'll play that. We'll go slow. Trying to go slow. There we go. All right, so you can see the 7 there in the middle of the racetrack coming down on that car on the inside line. So it looked like he felt there might have been a gap there in third place, but there wasn't, or that door was closed rather quickly. And he's come into contact. That's caused the 231 to spin out in front of a number of cars. The 57 was the main one and has caused our third caution for the night, lap 37. Looks like the new 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the new top 5 will be Douglas, Holdsworth, Vickers, King, and Wilson. We will see the 22 possibly come into view very soon. Looks like he is our lucky dog getting a wave around there. Now, lucky dog wave rounds are basically when someone is a lap down or more from the lead lap. So they're a few laps behind and they weren't involved in the incident that was called for the yellow flag, then the highest placed car in that criteria generally gets a wave around, and that is they get to take off, race around to the back of the field and get that missing lap back. So just promotes a bit of competition, allows some of the guys to stay in the battle if they can, and if you are a few laps down, it gives you something to race for. You can race your way back into a race quite well. I've done that before where I've had a few laps down and managed to get back into it and just race my way and gained a number of positions. So you won't win a race that way, but you certainly won't lose badly. All right, the car's heading down the back stretch. Still quite a few cars in the pits getting tyres, repairs, fuel possibly. For some, it might be their last lot of tyres, so they may have to drive very conservatively till to the end of the race to sort of try and hold up that spare rubber, because you will wear off, especially the front right, with the way that the car drives around the banked angles turning left. You will wear that tyre out a lot quicker, and it makes that car push up the track as you're turning and can be quite difficult to find the right speed to get around a turn. So yeah, taking tyres early is a gamble and can improve race position, but those that have tyres left at the end of this will be the contenders. All right, we are back and getting it ready. I thought we were racing over the cars speeding up then, but nope. 1 to green, so the cars will start to line up a double file. The 10 of Douglas, he'll have pole position, so he'll have race control. That means that as they come out of 4 and the pace car leaves the track, he will come up on the Geico restart zone. That is a zone just before the start-finish line marked on the infield of the track. That's the restart zone. So once the cars are in that, the person in pole position is generally free to start when they want. But the car in the outside pole position, the second position, cannot cross the start-finish line before the lead car. So, yeah, a lot to play with there, a lot to strategize about. see how we go. A lot of cars still coming out of the pits with 1 to green, required to stay in a bit longer than they would have liked for those repairs. Sometimes you can come out and just leave those extra repairs for another pit stop, but once again, they're all gambles. So it's very, very interesting. Alright, the cars coming out of 4. They're going to come down to that tri-oval entrance. That is where the pace car will go and leave the track. That's right before the restart zone. There he is there leaving. There's the Geico restart zone. So, oh no, it looks like the start-finish line might actually be the go zone here in the Australian NASCAR eSeries. Some leagues do customize how they want the races to start, just to ensure consistency. So, yeah, that obviously green flag is the conditions for starting, and here we are, lap 40 of 100, almost at the halfway mark, just 10 laps to go. A couple of cars pulling off. They may have been black flagged and need to serve those black flags under green, or have bargained on the fuel and things and have had to go into the pits under the green conditions. But either way, that isn't going to impact a couple of different drivers there. So Withy, Curran, Thompson. I'm not quite sure if I can tell who else is in there. But you can see right there the pushing of that 10 on the 7 there. That's Douglas and Vickers. Starting to drive away. King moved up from 5th to 3rd place. He's joined the back end of that push, as has Patterson. Looks like Wilson as well. Stove and Holdsworth look like they're holding the outside line. They may see something we don't. But at this stage, Vickers and Douglas are teaming up and getting it done. See a car that's going to try and come out of the pits, looking at to merge up with the racing traffic. The 10, he's had to pull out. Looks like he might be going into the pits this time round. Nope, looks like he had to pull out. Just got below the yellow, back up when it was clear. That's the way to do it. Now, I did talk earlier about how with the different setups and things like that, some cars could possibly be set up to work better as a solo, thinking that you're not going to get a teammate too much, so maximizing speed. And it means that if you do get into a push position where you're being pushed or you're pushing someone else, you can't do it a long time or the engine will start to overheat. And once you see that temperature go up, it's fine for your water temperature to go up, but if that oil temperature starts climbing as well, then you've got to get yourself some air. You've got to get a breather, and that looks like what the 10 has had to do. Douglas falling all the way back to 13th, I think. That speed is just insane. Those cameras take a beating. Three wide they are there. Douglas, Scott, Stevens. Looks like Stevens and Douglas and Scott able to get it forward a little bit there. Stevens will settle in behind Scott on the outside line, but yeah, look, three wide most certainly possible at Daytona International Speedway. But just because you're able to go three wide that's only 1/3 of the equation. You've still got two other guys to hope that they can hold it. And look, sometimes I know I'm a guy that can, but not always. So if someone forces me three wide, I tend to back out of it a little bit. Um, and it's knowing when. It's knowing when to back out. It's knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, when to walk away. But yeah, as I said, I've mentioned it's a gamble all night. There's so many different strategies, so many different possibilities, opportunities, and it's how you use them and take advantage of them that will set up the last portion of this race. 100 laps. It'd be horrible to do all this work and then get to 70 laps and those last 69 laps just don't count because you're out of the race. So yeah, you've really got to pick your battles. Really got to be comfortable where you are. If you're not comfortable running up the front, just purely because the other drivers or the conditions, then pull out of it. Pull out because you will not have a good time. Right, the 5 and the 6 there, they look like teammates, Barber and Meddings. Oh, we do have an American in this race coming from the Carolinas, Thompson, currently driving in 26th. Just looking through the list, and there's just all Australians, and then bang, all of a sudden there's this one guy from the Carolina. That's great. So used to seeing it the other way around. Used to being the rare Aussie in the league or things like that. All right, we've just hit our first hour mammoth broadcast for our Friday night debut, the the Australian NASCAR eSeries. We have truck racing on Bobith TV, and holy cow, are they racing! I get into truck races myself, and I only wish that there were this many car drivers and this caliber of driving. It is awesome. I would love if my official races were like this. See a few cars just shuffling it through the lanes there. Some coming down from the outside line to the inside line. Some coming up from the inside line to the outside line. Just depends on the gaps. And once again, as I say, how comfortable you feel. So, that's going to take a bit of effort. Alright. Down that backstretch for the 48th time. We're almost at the halfway mark. They only have 52 more runs down at this backstretch with at least one more pit stop. Right now, it is Preston, Smith, Patterson, Scott, Wilson. That is the top 5. Stove, Hobbs, King, Jackson, and Seedell are the top 10. Then we have Vickers, Bruns, Holdsworth, Meetings, Barber, McKenzie, McClintock, Patton, Douglas, Kehoe in the top 11 to 20. Then 21 to 30, that's Phelps, Raymond, Clark, Withy, Button, Thompson, Stelbovics, Curran, Williams, Ferris, Stevens. Ferris, then 31, 32, 33, and 34, our remaining field, Stevens, Cisaluna, Malone, and Hill. Nope, Hill has retired as well. Looks like he retired about 15 laps ago. So just 33 cars on the field. Malone is the car at 33, and Preston is the car at 1. And oh my God, are there a lot of drivers in between those two? Still very consistent 2x2, and if not, definitely 2-lane racing inside and outside line. No one trying to sort of push their way up the middle or make any silly moves at this stage. Very smart idea not to. The 28 looks like he got pushed down the line a little bit there. Sometimes if you leave a little bit of room, and guys do take that, and you're forced to go down the yellow to avoid it, can be tricky to get back up. Sometimes cars may not be as nice and leave you that room. They may want that opportunity, that position. So yeah, the 28 able to get back up onto the track. No worries there. He's got Vickers behind him. Ferris up there in front. All right, that is officially the halfway mark. Just 50 laps remain in this truck NASCAR series. 37 cars, 37 trucks started the night. We're down to 33 on the halfway mark. How many remain when we get to the 3/4 mark? 75 laps done. Hopefully all of them. And obviously every driver on the track will hope that they are there when we do get to the 75th lap. But that, as I say, the 75th, 85th lap, I think, is where we'll start to see the difference between guys who can race in a line and those that can do what's needed to get, positions and job done, the job done. I must say, I thought the 50, the 70 lappers that the dirt street stocks guys do were mentally draining and physically just crazy wise. And now here we are for a 100-lap NASCAR truck race. Those boys' arms must be tired. Some of it white knuckle. I know that you can hold your breath for a number of laps without even realizing it. So yeah, it's would be interesting to be a fly on the wall right now. All right, Smith, Wilson, Preston, Hobbs, Patterson. That is currently the top five. Smith and Wilson battling it out. Wilson has Hobbs. Preston has Patterson. All right, you can see there it's the 464 versus the 85. It's actually Smith and who's the other car? 64. So yeah, so it's actually Preston and Hobbs and Wilson and sorry, Hobbs and Smith, I think, but I think they changed order as I was trying to work it out. Bastards. Speaking of mentally enduring and physically taxing, make sure you hydrate. That sweet, sweet H2O. As you can see, there's approximately 10 cars on our screen when the camera gets wide enough. That is basically first to 20th. They are double wide, so you can't really tell who's where because the leader could be the first in the inside line or the first in the outside line, and then that changes who's second and third. Well, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, seventh and eighth, all of that. So, yeah, boys just grinding away at those laps remaining to get them down to a more suitable 25:15 to go. 64 to 72 will be the potential next pit window. I imagine we'll see most of the guys back in the pits by the time they get to the 64th lap. The 464, the 85, the 9 and the 6-4. There's the 97 and the 57, the 13, the 52. They are all back there racing at those lines. It's, as I say, it really is. It's just, it sounds like a broken record, but it's going to be for now, who can control the straightest and most contained line? Right now, it looks like at least the front two on the inside line, if not the third car. That outside line does show shades 4 deep, but they just don't seem to commit. And I'm not sure why, but look, it's their race. They are free to race it how they see fit. Jump back around the track, have a bit of a look, see what's going on. It does not want to, or it thinks this is the most exciting portion of the race. We'll give it that. It is certainly pretty exciting up the front. But as I say, I like to sort of try and give everyone a bit of showtime. There's always a lot of individual one-on-one battles, positional stuff, and that can produce just as good racing. So, yeah, let's see what we can see. We're focused on the 69, the light blue 69 there. That's Seidel. He's in 10th position. He does have a few lap cars around him, so a few extra numbers to count. All right, we're 43 laps to go. The joys of a one-man booth is I don't have anyone to do anything for me when I am busy. So just, look, please enjoy this awesome NASCAR truck racing brought to us by the Australian NASCAR eSeries. And I'll be back in just one moment. All right, apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the racing at just 40 to go. As I said, this is where it's going to start to get a little bit interesting. Pit windows are going to start coming back into play. And how many tyres you've taken throughout the race, what fuel you've grabbed prior is definitely going to be a factor. You would imagine that if there is a caution, that you will see everyone duck in. But if there's not, if this goes green for a lengthy duration, even another 10 laps, then yeah, it could be a concern. 3 cautions. Our last caution was all the way back on lap 33, I believe. So we've gone about 30 odd green laps. Some cars have gone in the pits under green flag conditions. I feel like this next stop could very well be one. If you, I don't know if I was going to say if you play chess, you might like this, but I feel like if you play chess, if you play certain games that you have to have a bit of a long con, a bit of a strategy to it, you will appreciate NASCAR racing. It looks like it's just a bunch of guys driving around in circles, following each other. But the amount of endurance, the amount of strategic planning that goes into doing this, even on a virtual level, is insane. Look, I'm not the fittest guy, I know that, but I've raced, like against actual real life NASCAR drivers, and even they can attest that to the how close to the real thing, how simulated this sport is. So when you see 34 guys, 37 guys on a track racing it out like this, and pulling out consistently quick lap times, and close racing, and some crazy avoidance, that they are working it. They're on the edge of their seat. All right, sorry if I slurp. Apologise if that comes through, but I've got a coffee now. I felt like my voice was starting to go. I feel like a coffee just to warm those vocal cords back up. See us through the next 37 laps as we start lap 64. What a marathon effort. And these boys are going to race a full NASCAR schedule. That is 19 weeks of this caliber of racing and race length. So not for the weak of heart. And certainly we always talk about in the dirt racing side of things about forced and unforced errors. Obviously, forced errors are where you can make the guy make a mistake. Unforced is where he just makes a mistake. And look, if you wait for an unforced error, you are waiting a long time. You really need to have that pressure on, that really have that speed, put the car where it needs to be. And it's the same here. A little bit easier to make an unforced error, easier to slip up in a NASCAR race because it does require a very good mental endurance to keep focused. But so far, 65 laps, just 3 cautions here at Daytona International Speedway for the Australian NASCAR eSeries. And we're seeing some great racing. Alright, you can see a couple of the pack up the front starting to break away. That inside line looks a lot deeper and a lot more cohesive than the outside line, and that is definitely going to pay for the guys up the front. And in this case, that is King in the 52 machine. He's got Seidel and Wilson up there as well, with Smith and Preston rounding out the 5. Looks like there might be a lap traffic car that is a lap down, the 22 of Thompson up there. That could be because he's come out of the pits. So the other thing with NASCAR, you've got to understand with lap traffic and cars that are laps down, just because they're laps down and further down the positional field than you are, like you're in second and they're in 22nd, they've been in the pits. They're likely down because they've had to stop and get things fixed, which means they're likely running new tyres. They're likely running a better car because it's probably a better condition because of the repairs. And they can run with that top field and can provide a good push. I've had a guy who's a lap down who's pushed me to a top 3 finish just purely because we were respectful with each other. So, yeah, you definitely do not want to brush them off. They can be a game changer. Oh, looked like there was a car leaving the field there. I think he's just gone down below the yellow due to the race conditions on the back stretch. Doesn't look like he was going for a pit exit. That is the 7 of Vickers. He's back in 25th. Got caught up in a crash back around lap 37, and unfortunately, due to the pit stop and the damage repair, he's down a lap and currently in 25th. You can see the 13 though, and the 85. That's Scott and Preston, 7th and 6th in this race. They have teamed up, and the 13 giving the 85 a very good push. He's going to try and get him up there and rolling back with the main pack. If they're smart about it, they could probably run it up to the high line, because that high line's quite low in numbers, and they will obviously carry that momentum up to them, and could help push that past the inside line. They're staying down on the inside line themselves right now. Whoa, rough time to push there. The 13, the 85, trying to dodge a car that looked like he was coming off the track. And barely missed it. Looks like there's a bunch of cars. We're just right at the 69th lap. What did I say? 64 to 72 was going to be that dangerous pit window for some of those guys that might have gone in a bit early or didn't choose to go in or didn't grab as much fuel as they liked. But we just saw a wad of cars just head straight for the pits. Smith, Patterson, Scott, Stove, Wilson, Preston, Hobbs, McClintock. Let's see who else. I think that's it. So about 7 cars just jumped out of that line. And considering, we've seen some close up front racing, and that's literally been 20 cars, to have 7 cars just leave the racetrack heading for the pits, how they didn't crash, I don't know. That is some cojones. There's some guys here that have done some experience. Now, in saying that, look, I'm used to racing 700 to, let's say, 1.2k iRating races. Oh my gosh, the 69 has been hit. Looks like it lost a little bit of control. That's side L. Let's get down there and just watch that play out again. Looks like just there. All right, we'll go back just a little bit so we can see it from the rear view. But you'll see here as the 231 looked like he was going to come along that low line. There was a little bit of room open. Looks like the 69s realised someone was coming. And not realised someone was coming, held his line, and they've come into contact there. Obviously, that has got the 69 loose, sent him up into the wall, back down into the 231, the car that initially started it. But as I said, some of those cars hard to break, hard to avoid, so a couple more casualties right there. Now, we just spoke about the choice of going in live under green flag pits. Obviously, tires and fuel most certainly an essential. There's at least 2 stops needed in this race minimum to maintain enough fuel to get to the finish line at the end of the 100 laps. Yeah, as I said, it's a gamble as to whether you go in under green, whether you go under caution. If there is a caution, do you look at what lap it is and how much you've got? Do you go in? Now, we just had 7 cars just urgently race into the pits under green flag conditions, which means they're going to drop down a number of spots. They're going to use a lot of time in the pits. And now a caution's come out. So the cars that didn't go into the pits that are up the front basically have a free chance to get in, get out, and not really sacrifice too much. Well, let's face it, the worst can happen is the 7 cars can be in front of them because of those 7 guys that went in first. Or people stay out. Now, if they come out at this point with 30 to go, with the last set of tyres, a full tank, so that's a lot of weight, that's going to push them down. The tyres aren't going to spin too much, which is great. You're going to see some very interesting battles from the restarts because cars that don't have fresh tyres, as that rubber burns and heats up, you will spin as you take off. So you put that foot down, that wheel's going to spin a bit before you get any core traction and take off. And you'll be able to tell the guys that have fresh tyres versus the guys that don't by those takeoffs. And we'll see that. We'll keep an eye on that just a moment when we have our 4th restart. 29 laps to go at this point. It will be around, we'll say 27, 26 laps when we get this one back underway. Looks like Smith is our current leader. Stove, Scott, Patterson. Jay Williams is a lap or 2 down. He's back in 30th, so he's going to have to fall down that field. But yeah, currently first, Smith. Stove will be starting a second. Scott, Payton, Patterson, Wilson, Meetings, McClintock, McKenzie, Hobbs will be further down the field as those guys start to come out. Urquejo, he's there. Well, there you go. Douglas was leading the race when that caution came out. And he's fallen all the way back to about 10th, 11th, and right behind him, Urquejo, he's in 11th. So, that's how quickly the positions can change. That's how close race speed is. that, first and 11th can be so comparable. Now, if we look at the fastest lap on the track tonight, the quickest lap we have seen. There, I was confused because I saw 46.817, and that was saying that was the quickest lap. But then I saw another lap, quick lap, that was 8:16, and I was like, hang on, that seems quicker, but that was 47.816. So 46.817. I would definitely say, based on track condition, wear and tear, tires, car, fuel, that lap time will not be beat tonight. So congratulations, Mr. Seidel on the 69 car. He has got the quickest lap time here tonight so far, 46.817. The fastest car before that caution came out, I think, was 48.6. And that was the 5 car of Barber. But we're 1 to green. Just started that, crossed that start finish line. So the boys will start to line up. It is Stove and Smith on the front row. Smith has pole position. Patterson and Scott behind them. Wilson and McClintock, Hobbs and Padden, Preston, Holdsworth, Meddings and Bruns, King. Let's see, where's my list gone? King and Douglas. Cahoe and Jackson, Clark and Barber, Raymond and Withy, Thompson and Stelbovics, Phelps, Button, Vickers, Curran, Ferris. Seidel is still in the pits, so he'll fall back a field before we get this race going. Jay Williams is back out. Let's see, Saluna and Stevens. Looks like Malone no longer in the race as well. So just 32 cars, and I like, as I say, it's not calling out the drivers or anyone in particular. It's just a fact of how a NASCAR race will go. As the cautions happen, you will lose drivers. We started on lap 1 with 37 drivers. We're now at lap 73 with 32. So we've only lost 5. That is remarkable. All right, pace cars well ahead of these cars up the front. Let's try and get a better restart view for this one. Let's see all the cars. See if we can't see the difference. As I say, you watch. If any of the cars seem to be a lot quicker on takeoff, they got new tires, and the cars that really fall back or have trouble taking off in terms of getting that excessive speed before the first turn, chose not to grab new tires at some point, or have not got new tires left. Luke, good morning in the United States of America, Mr. Luke Preacherman Rakoski. How are you, brother? All right, we are off and racing. Couldn't really tell on that restart. Don't think tires really as big a factor as I think they might be at this stage. We'll have to wait and see as they come into 1 and 2, get that backstretch speed going, get those cars up to full speed and start to sort of settle into their lines again for the next 25 or so laps. Riding along inside the car of the 464 Smith. He's our race leader. He's at the front of a very large pack. Looks like he has got the 143. No, the 13 of Scott. The purple 13 of Scott back there as a partner. Above him, though, he's got Stove. The 80 of Stove. Patterson is there, the 97. And, of course, Wilson pushing him along up on that high line. So, yeah, look, as I say, I think I've mapped out this race pretty well. As we're getting to the various points, we're now coming up on the start of the final quarter of this race. 25 laps to go at the end of this race, and the next 10 laps crucial, absolutely crucial to setting up a finish here tonight. Smith and Stove still battling it out. Patterson and Scott trying to provide support. Based on my own experience in this sport, NASCAR trucks, I am surprised. I will admit I am surprised the number of cars still remaining in this race. Now that is a testament to them, of course. They're the drivers. They're the ones responsible for keeping themselves on the track. But yeah, no, it is a testament that they have now just raced 75 laps and have 25 of their 100 laps to go, and there's 32 cars still competing. And looking at those lap times, looking at those speeds, they're around the 49.6 to 50.3 mark. So 4 tenths of a second. Really not that long in the grand scheme of things, but in NASCAR, in motorsports, it is everything. So, yeah, that gap is going to be the decision maker. The cars, there's a few cars further down the field that are a lot quicker than the cars up the front. So it's just a matter of seeing who can navigate their way through this field and set up a finale run with those last 15 to 10 laps. Right. Coming into 3 and 4. Will you believe for the 77th time? There's a plane that lands down the front stretch in turns 1 and 2, sometimes depending on the time of the day and whatnot here at Daytona. And correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any American viewers still around. I think it's the one of the former vice presidents, maybe, coming to do something at Daytona, or a president. But I wonder how many times I've seen that plane land. Let's get a better angle on that dashboard, and we'll set up a little dashboard cam. See how we go. But yeah, obviously riding along there with the 464 Smith. His best lap was the 27th lap, 47.829. His last lap, 3:51, sorry, 3:24. You can see there that he spent 14.5 seconds in the pits. So yeah, obviously quite in and out. Did not come to mess around. There is an Australian saying that I could say, but first broadcast for a new bunch of friends. We're going to keep it green and clean and PG tonight. See how the boys are in the interviews. And that's right. That's the other thing, the boys. Not only they're racing for points and status within a truck racing league, the top three are racing for a chance to chat with me, with Bob, in the post-race interviews. We will talk to the first, second, and third place finishers tonight. We'll get to meet them, see how they felt, see if they're even want to have a conversation after 100 laps. It's going to be fun. All right, just 21 to come. We've just hit lap 80 of 100. Just approximately 20 minutes more racing for these boys, around thereabouts. It sounds like a long time, but each lap is basically 51.8, 52 seconds. So, yeah, math, not that hard to sort of round up. All right, for any of you guys that are tuning in, or if you're watching on rewatch and you've just skipped through the broadcast and got to this point, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Bobbeth TV, formerly Mud Mule TV. We used to broadcast pretty much dirt races exclusively, just by uh, people's requirements, but branched out to a NASCAR league or two, and now we are both asphalt and dirt broadcasters. So Bobbeth TV is the channel name. This is the Australian NASCAR eSeries. This is their opening round of Friday night trucks powered by Beat the Dark. It is Daytona International Speedway. 2.48 miles, 100 laps. Oh, we just saw a car, as I said that, a caution out, fifth caution out on the 81st lap. Let's go back from that. I did just see it as I was talking, but I couldn't sort of call it out. All right, classic example. We're going to keep going back a little bit. and we'll just call this one out. We're not going to call the driver out. We're just going to call the situation out. The driver, look, he made the best decision he thought was possible, and we'll go by there. But we're based on the 16 there. But keep an eye on the 58. The 58, of course, is Patton. Now, what will happen is he sees that opening there. 16's a little bit lower. He had a lot more speed, so he's like, okay, I'm going to go up there and fill that gap. The 5 come along behind him. Now, that's left them 3 wide there. The 16, nowhere really to go. And we're just going to go back a little bit while I go through my expert analysis. And we'll slow that portion right there down. Yeah, you will see that. So really the 16s should sort of back off a little bit and slot in behind, but the 6 is there as well. The 10's coming up. There's not a lot to do. The 58 saw the line change when to come down with it, but the tail of his car comes into the front of the 16, and once again, once you crash, it does ricochet back down through the field. We saw the 10 car and another car also get caught up in that. The 16 of McClintock, though, he has managed to maintain that 9th position for now. Let's see if he has to go in the pits. All right, finish that coffee. I feel like my vocal cords are a lot warmer. They don't feel so rough. So, yeah, we should be able to see out these remaining 18 laps. I will say we'll go back green around the 16th, 15th lap mark. And that's my what's the phrase I want to use? My 11th hour, I guess. It's if I'm not where I need to be by then I don't count on being where I wanted to be by the end of it. Those 15 to 10 laps remaining, so that 5 laps in that gap really needs to be spent doing everything you can to get your car as far up that field as possible. Because once it gets to say 10, 5 to go, it will be a bunch of straight line racing and then potential slingshots. Oh, the leaderboard's not on the screen. I noticed either. I just realised the leaderboard hasn't. At least we had the top tracker, but just for those last 18 laps, just so you can see the positional changes a little bit clearer, we'll have that leaderboard up on the screen. Whew, it is hot. I think I started that thought earlier, and then it was too hot, and I never actually got to the end of it. But when I broadcast American leagues, which I mainly do, obviously Australian seasons are completely different to American seasons. So if it's hot here, it's cold there. If it's hot there, it's cold here. Obviously, being an Australian broadcast here tonight, Friday night for an Australian league. If you are watching for the league, you're Australian, and you know that it's hot at the moment. I'm in Tasmania, and if I'm in Tassie, which is pretty much regarded as basically the colder of the Australian states, and I'm saying it's hot, then it's got to be pretty damn hot elsewhere. So yeah, Godspeed. I hope you've got the fans on in the cockpits, basically, because I imagine she'd be quite stinky in that race suit. All right, 1 to green. It's going to be lap 85 when we get this one back underway. Just 16 green flag possible laps remain. As I say, for those 6 to 10 to go, I would look for cars to be a little bit extra racy and to be not so compliant in the lines that you're going to look to see. You're going to be seeing guys jumping lines, abandoning partners, possibly using partners all the way through to the point they need them to, because then they can continue to help them if they're smart and are listening. But but we'll have to wait and see. Still a number of cars in the pits. I know Clark and McKenzie are. It looks like Saluna is. Curran and Button and Withy may have also retired, so we may have an updated car count soon. I believe it's going to be around the 28, 25 car mark remaining. But like I say, you expect with cautions with that, especially if you've used up all of your tricks in the prior cautions in the race, that late caution crash can unfortunately spell the end of your race. And that's, as I say, there's nothing worse. 80 odd laps and then bang, it's all over. Doesn't matter what you did in those 80 laps. It's all over once you get to that pit, and it's like you can't fix it or whatever. Right, pace car has left. Smith and Stove will start in the front row. Patterson and Scott, Wilson, Meddings, Holdsworth and King, Brunson, Jackson, McClintock and Hobbs, Cahoe and Patton, Clark. No, Patton's in the pit still. We might need a full lap to find out who still remains. But it looks like Douglas and Raymond Stilbovic, possibly Clark. That caution has come back out straight away. That's going to push us back down to about 12 to go. Can't quite see where that happened. I wasn't sure if maybe it happened coming out of the pits. Looks like one of the cars may have had some difficulty in 1 and 2. That's the 90. What is it? Is it the 96 or the 97? The 58's kind of in the way at the moment, so I can't quite see. It's 97. All right, we'll go back and just have a quick look at the 97 of Patterson, and we'll just see if anything happened. Cycle through pretty quick. Oh, yep, there it was. How did I miss that, Bob? Jesus. All right, let's go back and just try and analyze what happened there. As I said, it looked to see the cars to drop lanes, change lanes, and it looks like the car behind Patterson there had a bit of speed, so it was going to drop below him, but there wasn't any room, and looked like with the 97 turning into the turn, that is what's caused that contact. And once again, another couple of cars also included in that. So we might be able to get a new car count soon. It looks like Raymond was a casualty in that one. And I believe there may be about 27 cars remaining. Three cautions in the first half of the race. This is our third caution in the second half, the last 50. So the over and under seems about average. But this may very well be the last chance to really set up some fuel or tyre or anything like that. If you've got the chance. If not, you're just sort of taking it easy on the pit runs. Sorry, not the pit runs, the yellow runs. To try and conserve that remaining fuel. And the more fuel you use, the lighter your car is as well. So the handling changes. That's tyre wear comes into effect. We're really going to see some potentially interesting and fun racing in the next 15 laps, 14 laps. Or technically 12. All right, there's the 13 of Scott. He's in second place. The 464 of Smith up there in front of him. As the boys catch up to the pace car. Oh, where's my water? Looks like at least one car going into the pits. There are a number of other cars in there as well. Just 14 laps remain. At least two of those will be under caution. As the boys filter through the pits. So getting those repairs, getting the tyres changed if they can, getting as much fuel as they think they need to get the right amount of weight and time, taking less fuel than you think you might need, or sort of coming as close. Obviously, it takes time in the pits to fuel a car. So the least amount you take, the least amount of time you do spend in the pits. So they're all things these guys need to consider. All right, 1 to green. The boys going to start lining up 2 wide. It will be Smith and Scott on the front row, Stove and Wilson second row, Meddings and Bruns on that third row, King and Jackson. King Jackson on the fourth row, Hobbs McClintock on that fifth row, sixth row. I'm sorry, Okaho, I really do apologise. And Stilbovics, your both names I've really been struggling with all night on that sixth row. Seventh row is going to be Holdsworth and Barber. Looks like there's a couple of other guys that have pulled out in the middle of that. So that's about the current field. There are a few guys behind there. We'll get that all sorted once the race gets green and it weeds out those that are still in the pits and those that have left the race. All right, they are coming to the. Oops, sorry, I just put my fan on and it's out of control. I'll try and get it angled so it's not on the mic. As we come into 3 and 4, we're going to get this one underway. Smith, Scott, front row. Stove, Wilson, second row. Meddings and Bruns, third row. King, Jackson, Hobbs, McClintock, fourth and fifth rows. Pace car's just about to leave the track. We're going to crank it up. And this potentially could be a 12 lap green flag run to the conclusion of the opening round of the the Australian NASCAR eSeries trucks. NASCAR truck Friday night action powered by Beat the Dark as we get this one back underway. Smith really has been persevering, trying to keep his car up as close as front as possible. He's moved to the outside line, we can see there as those boys race past. As they hit that backstretch coming out of that corner, they'll be slamming it into fourth. Racing down this backstretch, achieving those quick speeds. I pretend to say, like, I can never remember what speeds these guys get up to. It's almost 300 Ks, maybe. Into 3 and 4. This first lap of our restart just about finished. It's going to be 11 to go. We're just so close to single-digit laps remain. Looks about 25, 26 cars still possibly in the race. Various positions around the track. But up the front, this is where that battle's been. It's been who can have the most consistent partner, who can have the most consistent line of the inside and outside line. It doesn't look like either line's had its own advantage for being there, but definitely has come down to the conduct of the drivers on each line. And right now, that outside line is cooking. Smith and Scott are teaming up for one heck of a run. They do have the 9 car of Wilson back there, but below them it is the 80 of Stove, as well as I believe King and Holdsworth. That's it. We have done 91 laps. We're in the final 10 laps of this race. You are going to see some action coming up soon. These boys, if you're going to try and just leave it to the last lap, for anyone that's further back than, say, 6th place, the 3rd row, your time is now to make a move. Oh, looks like one of the cars, he is off the track. Not sure who that was, but having to pull out rather quickly. King has moved to the front row. Oh, it was who was King pushing? Oh, I can't remember now. I think it was Hobbs. No, it wasn't Hobbs. Another one dropping off. Once again, I did mention this earlier. Depending on how the cars are set up, some may not be able to maintain that level of draft racing, that close level of racing. They need a bit of air to keep their engine cool, and racing behind another car just doesn't allow that air to flow onto yours. That's why you're able to go faster, because there's less air restriction. As we see the 11 Holdsworth getting right up under King's bumper there and fully demonstrating the art of bump drafting. You start to see some of those lines spread out, some of those gambles pay off. We're in single digit laps remain. 9 to go, 8 to go, my apologies. And King, Holdsworth, Urquejo, he's moved his way up into the top 3. Smith, Hobbs, the top 5 is alive. '13 in the 464. They had been doing so well as a team. That's Smith and Scott. But the power of numbers and that inside line has just really elevated King and Holdsworth's run. Once Urquejo had joined on, and Hobbs as well, it looks like that is when... And Wilson. Sorry, Wilson. Didn't forget you, Wilson. That is when that line really started to run. Now, they've also got Patton and Barber back there on their inside line. It is very deep, 7 cars. It's just became 9, in fact. Someone bailed on that high line. The high line's about 4 cars. And the fast inside line is the front pack of 3, but there is another group of 6 drafting behind them that are sort of racing with the front of the outside line pack. So for King, Holdsworth, and Urquejo, then Urquejo, sorry, or how? Look, I hope he finishes top 3 so we can at least educate me on how to say his name properly. Are just starting to run away with it. 6 laps to go. Will be 5 as they get to the start-finish line. 5 laps remain. Nope. Will be... Sorry, I thought we were just before the start-finish line there. Learn your track layout, Bob. No, just, you know... Right down at that backstretch. Still a number of cars. Looks like there's about 16 cars on the lead lap. So that means they're on the same lap as the car in first place. So 16 cars still able to really truly vie for position. Anyone behind them can vie for position. They've just got their car in front of them. So, you know, 18th can pass 17th if possible, so on and so forth. But 17, the top 17, all on the lead lap, all able to race this one out. It's going to be a battle to see who from the top 10 and back can race their way into it. It's going to be a matter of jumping on, I reckon, to that outside line and getting that line working. Maybe using that to get down to a higher position on the inside line without causing a crash. And going from there. But you've only got 4 more times around the track to go. Running out of options. 96 of 100. Start finish line will bring on the 4 to go mark. Here we go. The boys past Barney in the checkered flag stand. Start finish line. He's going to get that checkered flag ready very soon. First you'll pull out the white flag with 1 to go. And the winner of that last lap will be tonight's winner of the inaugural Truck Series, the Australian Nascar eSeries. Oh, one of the cars going up high. That's the 13 of Scott. Up near the wall, managed to come back down and get back in front of the 57 before there was any sort of passing. He's going to stay in second place in the outside line. Officially, it's about 5th, 6th place. But as we know, these lines have a funny way of moving around. So with 3 to go. Coming up on the 2 hour mark of this mammoth debut on a Friday night in Australia for Bobith TV. So happy to be here. Thank you for coming out and checking us out, whether it was Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Appreciate you for doing that. All right, with just 2.5 laps to come, look for King and Holdsworth and the rest of that inside line to try and hold it as best they can. Some of those guys back there in third or fourth and fifth, sixth, seventh, depending on relative and position, they would be best suited to just stay where they are and keep pushing the guys in front of them and using that speed to ensure that they finish faster and higher in the position than the outside line counterparts. That definitely looks like what might be happening here as the outside line further pushing out in front. Penultimate lap, just the 2 to come here. Once we get to the start-finish line, Barney will wave the white flag. We're coming down towards it now. Holy cow, we are here. White flag is waving. Last lap. Whoever can get to the checkered line first from this position. No yellow flags if there's crashes. Whoever can get to the checkered line first will win tonight's opening round of the Australian NASCAR eSeries Friday Night Trucks, powered by Beat the Dark. All right, here we go. Into 3 and 4 for the last time. This is where it's going to get a little messy. There goes the 85. He is the first casualty up into the wall as they race their way. The 11 gets caught up. He spins through. That's going to change the second and third finishing positions as they race to the line. First is going to be King in the 52 machine. Wilson got himself to that start-finish line in second. Hobbs third. Barber fourth, and Scott is going to round out the top 5 as those guys come to a finish. Yeah, look, that last spot can be anyone's game, and it really comes down to some really smart decision making, and you can tell by positioning order and finishing as to who played their cards the right way. So we've got the top 5 out. Ekaho in 6th, 7th, Smith. Stelbovics finishing in 8th. No. Where'd Stelbovics go? Oh, he's fallen down the field. Okay, so it looks like they're all settled into their proper positions. Phelps, Bruin, McClintock, Douglas, and King. That's 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. In 11th was Scott. Smith finished in 12th. Stelbovics in 13th. 14th, Holdsworth. Patton 15th. Preston in 16th. 17th was Jackson. Vickers and Saluna and Ferris 18th, 19th, and 20th. Stevens finishes in 21st. Then 23rd, 24th, 25th is Clark, Williams, Thompson, and Stove. And then to round out the rest of that field, Patterson, Malone, Raymond, McKenzie, Withy, Curran, Button, Seidel, Hill. That is 26th to 34th. And then the final few positions, I'm just waiting on that one to wrap up and cycle back through. As I say, this is a mammoth car count. Finishing at 35th, 36th, and 37th. Oh, it disappeared on me, you bastard. It was Holland, Malone, and I can't. Oh, it's going to update again in a second. Sorry, Holland, Shelton, and Kelly. All right, let's get over to the Discord and have a chat with the boys. Have a chat with the guys that run the show. They're going to be pretty happy with how tonight went. All right. Let's see. Now I got some last names in front of me. All right. So Brent is Hobbs. Third place, is that you, Andy?
It is, mate.
Excellent. And then obviously that leaves first place as Luke Wilson. All right, we'll start off with you first, Andy. I'm not sure if it was a league thing or if in setting up my software for tonight that I somehow have deleted like the first name portion. I feel like it's a league thing, just because I couldn't find anything wrong. So, yeah, a lot of you guys pretty much referred to by surname throughout most of that race. But no, that was some awesome racing. Look, we'll start off with you, Andy. You started off in 17th place after qualifying and after 100 laps, after at minimum 2 to 3 pit stops, you managed to finish in third place, which it's going to sound weird, but I would almost call that a textbook iRacing truck race finish at Daytona. There's always going to be a couple of guys in that mid pack, that 1 to 10 pack, that are trying to get that final position, and unfortunately, there's not enough real estate, and cars can go a bit AWOL, and it can completely reshuffle that top five. So all of you guys watching, you all sort of racing for that start finish line on the best line possible. Uh, was that the most hectic portion of the race, or were there a few moments in those 100 laps there, Andy?
Well, there was a few moments I was kind of on the back foot straight away with a couple of cautions that did come out. And with the new incident rules coming in with 9 incident points across the entire race, it certainly made it challenging, especially at a super speedway like Daytona, just to try and keep those incident points down to avoid the black flag. But no, I was pretty happy. I ended up avoiding an accident and driving through pit lane at speed
Oh no.
accidentally. So yeah, I thought it was kind of the lesser of the two evils, taking the black flag relative to hitting another truck. So
Yep. No.
yeah, pretty much did the grind back through the cautions and got lucky dog, and yeah, just tagged on towards the end there and tried to work with what I had. Both my teammates unfortunately succumbed to previous incidents, so it's kind of on my own there for a little bit, but managed to find my way through the podium.
Definitely. It looked like the order of the day, and when I say this, and I've said it on the broadcast, I don't mean this disrespectfully. Obviously, you guys make the decisions and decide who you're going to race with in the race in terms of mates or opportunistic sort of moments. But it did seem that the inside line, just by design, not by position or by the guys that started on it, but it felt like the inside line was the more cohesive line. It was the one line that could get more cars, 3 to 5 was the common sort of number of cars, and keep it straight and keep it good. The outside line, I traditionally find it's usually full of people that use it to just gain those extra positions, drop down into the inside line when it's open, or things like that. Um, do you agree? Do you attest to, like, regardless of whether it's a teammate or not, having someone that's there that you can push consistently, or they can consistently push you, goes a massive way in these races, I'm sure.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head there with mostly running in those two lines. And I guess that inside line's a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, I guess the speed of the outside line kind of fluctuates relative to the inside line. But I think there was around about 2 laps to go. I tried to open it down the back straight and make 3 lines. But yeah, it kind of didn't work out. But yeah, we try and help each other where we can, mostly work in with our team. And, it's circumstantial as well. Like when I was a lap down trying to get my lap back and fixing damage, I had Ronnie behind me, and he's from an opposing team, but we were working in together and pushing ourselves back up to the field and pushing ourselves up to the safety car. So I guess a lot of it's circumstantial, but 90% of the time we're talking about team strategy and how we're going to run the race.
Definitely. Now, were there any? I didn't know coming in, and I got told the pit window, so I didn't really broadcast the exact numbers on the broadcast just in case. I didn't want to be sort of feeding any information that you guys might not have. But now that I've got you, are you aware of where the rough pit window is for these races, or is it sort of you have to calculate it, but it's not that hard to figure out where the window will be?
Yeah, well, we're running 100% fuel in this series, so
Mm.
we kind of have a window of where we think we're going to get. Also, with the testing previous to the race as well, we kind of work all that out, and then naturally, as the safety cars fall, that can jumble up the different scenarios, and if you need to make a double stop or a whatnot. So we got to a point tonight where we're, around about halfway through the race, and I covered off that stop completely, so I didn't have to stop for fuel again. But yeah, that kind of works to your advantage when you don't have to pit towards the back end of the race.
No, definitely does. Could not agree more. All right, man. Well, look, I couldn't think of a better group of races to make my Friday night Aussie Australian NASCAR League E-Series sort of debut and broadcast. You guys, you've put on an amazing show, so I thank you for that. Before I let you go and move on to the other guys, friends, family, sponsors, they go a long way in making what you get to do possible. Who do you need to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, just firstly, shout out to the two other boys here in the green room. Great job on the 1-2 there. And yeah, just the guys at Southern Stars Esports, Tiana Holiday Parks, Mrs. Excel Garage, RBI Trading Cards, Twistex, few others in there as well. But yeah, thanks to those, and obviously Nigel and Jason, who do all the hard works behind the scenes with getting the league, and just finally yourself for the broadcast. It'll be great to watch back later.
I appreciate it. I say this pretty much in every interview I do. I have the easiest job in the world. I get to sit around and watch racing and call it and get paid to do it. So it's unlucky, and it really comes down to the drivers putting on the show as to what I get to broadcast. So I believe the show was a great one tonight, but credit goes solely to you guys on putting on a good show and dealing the cards you were played and getting through to the 100 lappers. So no, congratulations, man. Look forward to seeing you race throughout the season. It's going to be a long one, 19 weeks, so I'm going to get to know you guys pretty damn well. But yeah, hopefully have you back in the booth sometime soon and chat soon.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was Andy Barber. He's finished third here tonight after starting 17th. If you could see what I see, guys, you would know that yeah, just the top 10 alone. I think one, two cars started in that top 10 in that finishing order of the top 10. So that just gives you an idea of that patience that I was talking about throughout the race. All right, we're going to jump up to Brent Hobbs now. Another example, 20. The Hard Charger Awards would be having a headache right now because Brent, you went from 29th to second. We'll get to Luke in a second. He went from 37th to first. So that's some massive gains on starting positions and finishing positions. I spoke about during the broadcast as I sort of getting to know you guys, watching you guys race, that the first 50, first 75 laps really not going to be a thing. It's just stay in line, do your race, make sure that when it is towards the end of that race that you are in a good position. You definitely look like you were one of those guys, and I don't mean this in a negative way when I was talking about the swapping partners or not having a partner to rely on, but you were definitely someone that seemed to be, regardless of the car in front of you, you seem to be very reliable as a pusher, but then at the same time, you seem to be quite lucky in getting some really good guys behind you. Was that by, same question I sort of asked Andy, was that by design, or were you just lucky in those situations that the guys behind you or in front of you were easy to work with?
It's probably just lucky, mate. Just no seat time really. I didn't do any practice going in, and we mainly run dirt. But yeah, I just sat the car there and just got comfy, and then I just hoped it was there with 5 to go, and it was. So I seen there was a couple of good guys like Jace in front of me, and I just followed them through, and that was about it. So I didn't design anything.
Yep. Now, look, and that's pretty much you've just described my race is sort of just hang on and make sure I'm where I need to be and just see where it goes. But no, look, that was a great race, and if it's any sort of example of sort of what's to come, if there's anyone that sort of rewatches it and sees that, I would have little doubt that the cars that were in the front rows. On those restarts, after those pit visits, things like that, were solely there because of the on track teamwork that was occurring. And as I say, great work with yours because. Yeah, whether you were being pushed or whether you weren't, whether you were the pusher, it looked very controlled. And whether it was inside line, outside line, it was you just played those cards that were dealt as they were dealt, and you know once you had that opportunity up the front, you really ran with it. Obviously, there can only be one winner. Yours the car at the end, or was it Andy's? I forgot to ask Andy. So once you got to the coming towards that start finish line, the old tri-oval finish on the last lap, there was one car that got sent down to the grass. Almost looked like it made it to the pits, but got a bit of traction, raced its way to the start finish line. And I'm pretty sure that was you finishing in second via that. Was am I right?
I think I hit a bit of the grass, but I
Yep.
think Luke, my teammate, hit a lot more of the grass, and I think he actually passed me on the inside. Yeah, like we've been teammates a while, but the amount of wins that he's taken away from me in dirt is just crazy. And now he's
Mate.
got one on me in NASCAR, so
Yeah, you're never going to hear the end of it.
Rapped about that one. So, yeah.
Nah, look, I know that one. I was when I before the broadcasting, well, as I sort of started the broadcast, we had a little mud mule type team, and we managed to secure a 1, 2, 3 at Charlotte in a league race, and at one stage it was me in first and the other two teammates in second and third battling each other, and I'm like, okay, if they just battle and let me take the win, this is going to be like the best day of my life. This is going to be awesome. And then we came to two to go. one to go, and they made a move, and they both slid me in two, and I finished. I was the third car in the 1, 2, 3 of the team. After leading pretty much the entire race. So, no, I feel that pain. I definitely know what that feels like. And then you've got to congratulate your teammate, pat him on the back. And but no, in all seriousness, it's that, like seeing a teammate 1 and 2, and it does not surprise me in this sort of conditions in a league setting because, yeah, as I mentioned before, the pushing, the drafting was very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sure as we get to know each other and as I get to remember names and stuff on the track, obviously there'll be a lot more to talk to. But it's great meeting you guys so far tonight. Same question I asked Andy before. Friends, family, and sponsors obviously go a long way in all of this. Who'd you like to give a shout out to?
I'll give a few shout outs. I'll give a shout out to yourself, mate, for broadcasting, and Nigel for chucking us on, letting us race, and doing all his hard work, and obviously bringing Beat the Dark on as
Yeah.
one of his sponsors, which is pretty cool. I'll give my team a shout out. Beat the Dark, Gorilla Gas. He gives us the setups for this sort of stuff. We haven't done a lot of NASCAR racing and that, but he's given us a bit of a go, and Hobbs Trenchant and Boren, 81 Race Gear, North Central Solutions, and I'll give my dad a shout out. He's got a bit of a battle at the moment with cancer, so I don't think he'd be watching. I think he'd be in bed. But if I can also give it a plug, we run an Australian Dirt League, and we've got a bit of an auction up at the moment for a few sprint car t-shirts. So if anyone wants to jump on the Facebook page and put a bid in,
give
use
it
my
give it a
dad's
give it a
name.
plug. What's the Facebook page? What do they search?
Australian Dirt League.
Australian
So
Dirt
just
League.
look it up and you'll see that there's a t-shirt up on auction. We've got a race on Sunday night, and we're going to have an auction for another t-shirt. And all donations and that go to cancer. So
No, awesome. It's awesome that you're able to, and that's when I was talking about Beat the Dark in the intro, and even with sort of the charity races and some of the special races I've done via broadcasts, the fact that we can lean on each other in these types of times and help each other and use this platform and racing as a way to sort of raise money. I've worked with the American I think they're Virginian veteran suicide service, and we did a few races and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just great being able to use what we love and enjoy for a good cause like that. So, no, I'll jump on the Facebook page and definitely check it out. I'll pop up a link on my socials as well, so other people can check it out. But yeah, look, I know what that battle's like, so best of luck with that. And yeah, I hope the race is a success, and whoever gets the wins the auction, I imagine we'll be pretty damn proud.
yeah, for sure, mate. All right, thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. We'll see you next Friday. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was Brent Hobbs. As I said, started 29th, finished second, but probably the hardest charger of them all, only because there was 37 cars in this race, and started rear of field and ended up our race winner, Luke Wilson. Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, mate. It was not a bad race.
It was a good race. Now, there were a few hairy, scary moments, sort of some of those traditional sort of the problem with NASCAR, and Brent spoke about dirt before, sort of you can liken it to sort of sprint cars in that if there's an incident in front of you with sprints or trucks, the crash, the brakes, you're really not stopping in a time of crash avoidance is not really that easy, that close. So sometimes some of those little touches and cars sort of coming down the field must have been a bit hairy. Were there any moments throughout that race, especially in the first 30 odd laps, where I think we had a caution every, say, 10 laps, and then we went green for a bit? Were there any moments there that were particularly hairy for you, or that you're sort of happy with yourself that you worked your way through?
I think the first few I wasn't really near them, but then sort of probably the last three I was a little bit too close. It was either the car next to me or the car in front of me, so got a bit scary. But that's the thing. I think racing a lot of dirt and a lot of sprint car stuff, you got to react pretty quickly to other cars around you. So I think that helps a lot when it comes
Definitely.
over to doing this stuff that we, me and Hobbsy don't do a whole heap of it. We just, pop in for this. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and it's fun because I do I predominantly do dirt broadcasts up until a couple of weeks ago, and then I have an American NASCAR league for yesterday morning, and then this one obviously tonight. And it is fun because you hear some guys who are either one type of division but are racing in the other one, whether they're a dirt guy racing in NASCAR or a NASCAR guy trying out dirt. And it's funny. I find that the dirt guys see the advantage of what you learn in dirt over on NASCAR, and I certainly went the same. I came to iRacing during the COVID period, um, because I heard about it as V8 supercars, but I heard that it had dirt track racing, and I'd been looking for some sort of. I remember I had a game when I was a kid, Saturday Night Speedway, and I've been trying to find that sort of game again. And iRacing Dirt was definitely it. And then when I went over to NASCAR, I was like, oh, let's check these out. I agree. I feel like the crash avoidance, the sort of the prediction or the predictable sort of nature of the drivers definitely helped me. But if you talk to a asphalt like predominant guy, they won't agree that the dirt helps them or that asphalt helps them in the dirt. It's weird like that. So I think dirt. I think the point there is I think you'll agree dirt is very much a good skill to have, especially in a NASCAR space.
Oh, that's the thing, especially on dirt. The track's always changing. This, stays pretty similar for most of it. So that's the thing. You've got to move around a lot on dirt, and that's probably what helps when you're moving from the top to the bottom in a race like this. You know that you can do it, and you know your distances between cars because you got to race so closely on a
Yeah.
dirt track. So
Definitely. And I think with the 19 race schedule, obviously, I think, not to put any pressure on you, but I feel like you'll do a little bit better as well in some of those short track races because, you are used to sort of, the sort of 15 to 20-second lap times rather than, say, 42 to 52 seconds. Um, Things like that. I find that the short tracks, I can race a little bit better on the super speedway. There's that middle ground. I think anything over 1 mile and under two is sort of a bit weird for me. So I'm really interested to see how you guys go because I feel like I'm going to pick up some things just watching you and seeing how you guys handle it and stuff like that. So definitely looking forward to it. Where are we off to next week? Actually, let's have a look at the schedule. I believe Atlanta,
yeah, I was
135
gonna.
laps of Atlanta Motorsport Speedway. That is going to be insane. I don't mind Atlanta. I think was Atlanta, Las Vegas, and I think is it Chicago or Charlotte. They're very similar tracks with that same sort of. You can really come in fast, high entry in 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 you can sort of really throw it in a bit lower and race out down that straightaway. The dog leggy sort of straight away. So no, I'm looking forward to that race, but I don't think are there any road courses in that, or is it all just the oval stuff?
I think it will go to the road stuff. It follows the normal
The proper,
iRacing
yeah.
series. So yeah, I
It's
think Chicagoland might be in there and a couple other bits and bobs. So.
awesome. I think they're the ones that are really going to be the points gains for those guys. Separate the oval races from the just race car drivers, so to speak. Those guys that are a bit more multi-disciplined. So no, it's going to be good. Where do you fall in that? Do you consider yourself a multi-discipline racer, or are you a dirt guy trying out asphalt?
I'm 100% a dirt guy that just plays in a couple other little things. We done the 24-hour Daytona
Oh yeah,
the
yep.
other week, and we're planning on me and my brother are planning on doing the 12-hour, and I think Hobbsy's going to have a team together for Bathurst next weekend. So
Well, actually, a
we
buddy of
just
mine messaged me the other day and asked if I was interested in being a in attended dirt guys, and I was sort of like, yeah, I reckon I could. I can race Bathurst. I'm not bad at it. I'm not good, but
it,
yeah, no, that'd be interesting.
yeah. So no, it should be pretty good. So we'll see how we go.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Well, awesome race tonight. Um, Great. That as I said, and as you may have heard, that inside line was just impeccable. I think anyone that sort of chose that and stuck with that really needs to thank those other racers for getting them to where they were, because I think that was there was a bit there where the outside line was more competitive, but that inside line control and just consistency definitely got you up to that front, and after that last restart, those 12, 13 laps to go, you definitely did not let that opportunity slip, man. So congratulations. Likewise to the other guys, friends, family, sponsors. As a team that goes into doing what we do, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course. You for the broadcast. It's good to get eyes on this series. It didn't have a broadcast last year, and I
Yep,
think it can put on some pretty good racing. So, and then obviously
definitely.
the boys that run the league, as Hobbsy said, we run a dirt league. We know everything that comes with it. No one's ever happy, but it makes it all fun and games. It's something different. So, and then of course all the guys on the car, Gorilla Gas for giving us a rip and setup, Hobbs Trenchard and Boren, 81 Raceware, Rapid Race Replicas, and then just everyone else in Discord. You know, there's a team of 7, 8 of us sort of thing, ranging different skill sets and different ages as well. I think that's the best part. You bond with everyone and hang out.
Definitely could not agree more. One of the groups I sort of hang out with that basically where the broadcasting arm was born out of. I think he's 11 or 12 now, but one of the guys who promotes all of our stuff, his son, one hell of a, like, he's a real life go-kart racer, and I find that I feel like we missed out, some of us older guys here in Australia, because we didn't have that sort of entry level kids racing. You go to the dirt track and just be stuck in the pits or whatever watching your dad race. Whereas these young kids have got, like, he's got a go-kart racetrack, an oval dirt racetrack in his backyard for the go-karts. So the skills that this kid brought on to iRacing was just insane. And being humbled by, at the time, a 10-year-old boy on a dirt track was it's just amazing. And then, what he learnt from us with maturity and what we learnt from him from a different, younger point of view, it just made us all better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think you're in Tassie, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm also a Tassie represent. So.
Nice. I'm down in Hobart, down on the Eastern Shore. I think I've met a couple of guys through. I did race with the Oz Nascar eSeries last year when I was still trying to do some league racing while broadcasting. And I met I think a sprint car driver named Sean from up north, and there was someone in Lonnie, but I can't remember his name now. But roughly, not to dox you, but roughly whereabouts are you?
I'm in Lonnie.
Up in Lonnie. Well, there you go. Up in Lonnie. Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
Lonnie's great.
Me and,
Go the Hawks.
me,
You
me
be.
and my brother both race wingless sprints. So.
Oh, up there. Oh, so what's up at that'd be Latrobe or Carrick?
Yeah, Latrobe, Carrick, and
Yep.
duck down to Hobart when
Duck
we're
down to
on.
duck down to I can never get over calling that Hobart or New Norfolk International
Oh, yeah,
Speedway, whatever.
well,
It's Bridgewater. It's always been Bridgewater Speedway. My
yeah.
mum and my dad raced, and when I was like a kid, I've got some trophies here. My mum was in charge of the pits from like the early 2000s and stuff, scrutineering wise, and yeah, it's such a great scene, the Tassie racing scene.
Oh, that's the thing. It's pretty good. So, Carrick's putting on a ripping track these days,
Yep.
and if Latrobe and Hobart can catch up because
Yep.
they're probably better for viewing, then I think it'd be pretty good. Most classes are got some good numbers for such a small state. They just need a bit more money pumped into it to get everyone there all the time. So
Definitely, and I think in all oval sense, just to sort of talk about our product a bit, I think Tassie Motorsports as a whole, is sort of getting a bit of a resurgence. There's a lot of the right guys. I know my brother and his mates, they're into the Simmons planes and the burnout comps and all of that sort of stuff, and the guys that are putting that on, and so it looks like it's heading back in the right direction, and everything, all the focus is coming back to the racing and the tracks, and not just people running tracks to keep keep other people off of them or whatever. I mean, I remember growing up watching some awesome American versus Australian sprint cars and super late models racing. So yeah, just let them race. But
yeah,
I'll keep an eye out for the next time Hobart's on, and I'll see if I can get the boys together for as I say, it's literally been a decade or two since I've been to that bloody racetrack. So it's by time I got back there. So best of luck with everything you got going on, man. Best of luck with the real life stuff as well, and you and the brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the success you deserve, and I really look forward to watching you race over this 19 race season.
Cheers, mate. See you next time.
All right, buddy. See you next time. Bye. All right, that was Luke Wilson. And after a mammoth, 2.5 hours? Holy crap, what a great broadcast. We have finally come to the end of the very first Oz NASCAR eSeries trucks race powered by Beat the Dark. We spoke with Andy Barber, Brent Hobbs, and Luke Wilson. Look at me go, yes, I remember the names. Want to thank Australian NASCAR eSeries for bringing Bobbers TV on board to broadcast their racing. I hope that we are both putting together a great product. I believe we are, and I feel like the next 19 weeks are going to be amazing. Obviously, we announced at the start of the show that the Australian NASCAR League had brought on Beat the Dark. Well, not brought on, but Beat the Dark had brought themselves on to be the main sponsors for the truck series, the Australian NASCAR eSeries Truck Series, powered by Beat the Dark. Now, We spoke about them. I just want to talk about them really quickly before we wrap up. So obviously, the inception of Beat the Dark, it stems from a profound awareness of people grappling with uncertainty, anxiety, and depression. And look, I'll be honest, I suffer from those. I know the battle. I think everyone does. I don't think it's an exclusive club that we're in. Now, while originally formed for the iRacing platform, Beat the Dark is a message applicable to all walks of life. Beyond its existence as an iRacing team, the Beat the Dark logo stands independently. We believe in the power of iRacing and the camaraderie it fosters to provide solace during challenging times. iRacing and online gaming serve as platforms that unite individuals from diverse backgrounds and age groups. And as you can tell, it's not crazy to me to broadcast an Australian league, be Tasmanian, and meet another Tasmanian race car driver. It's very likely, but you know the friendships that you grow through all these things. You're suddenly you're mates with guys in Ohio or New York or Sweden, UK. It's insane. Now, the distinctive colours of the logo, they symbolise both genders, and the striking face represents the modern day crusader advocating for social change. Now, we hope that by promoting this awareness, individuals can embrace their true selves and initiate honest conversations. If our efforts can assist even one person struggling, then we consider it a worthwhile endeavour. So, once again, as I said at the head of the show, we're going to extend a warm welcome to Beat the Dark as they join us for our Friday night truck series. And honestly, this is not me bothering the sponsors. That is easily one of the best causes to get behind. So, no, Beat the Dark, you guys rule. And keep doing everything that you guys are doing, and we appreciate your support. All right, guys and girls, on behalf of Nigel and Jace, the promoters of the Australian NASCAR eSeries, I want to thank you all for coming out and checking out our debut run with them. We're broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So you've got a few different options depending on what your personal preferences are, but you really don't have an excuse not to watch. So get over there, like and follow the pages, and you'll be notified when we're live for our US leagues, as well as Friday nights 10 past 8 each week for the next 18 more weeks for the Australian NASCAR E-Series. All right, I think now's a very good time to wrap it up while I still have some voice left. Thank you so much for coming out and watching. I say it all the time. I sincerely mean it. I love you all. I do this just to give leagues the chance to be seen. I don't think I'm talented or special at it. I just like to do this. So yeah, it chuffs me that I've got 3 avenues of broadcasting, and people have been coming out all night on all 3 of those channels and checking us out. So appreciate you all. Love you all dearly. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Bobbeth TV. My name is Bob. I'm going to say good night. Good night.